Good morning, everybody. This is Judith A. Cope. You're listening to Mad Love. Let's get into it. So, I guess that was kind of a hot take yesterday, but I am really surprised at the number of people who just don't seem to realize how unprepared they are, not only emotionally for their parents to get older, possibly get sick, possibly pass away. Um, but most people don't just, drop. They usually get sick first. And families just don't seem to be prepared for that. They seem to think it's not going to happen to them. And I have an uncle and aunt who are in their 90s and they're both doing great. That's awesome. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't have all of your paperwork done, because they haven't done that and they have multiple properties and assets. And it's like, that's going to be a nightmare. If they haven't done anything and they got four kids, you know, and grandchildren, a lot of that's gonna go to the government. If you don't figure out how to put it in a trust and protect your assets so your kids can get it. Um, you know, we make a lot about the 99%, but or the 1%, but that's because they really understand the tax codes. They have a hand in writing the tax codes, and these rich people figure out how to not have to pay taxes, and you need to figure out how to do that too. Especially when it comes down to passing assets and stuff. You wouldn't like. I'm in Missouri, so I had to look this stuff up for my state, and it's so complicated. It's just super complicated. And if it's a certain amount of money, you got to go to probate court. If you don't protect your assets, you're gonna go to probate court. And it's like, this is insane. Which means you got to hire somebody. They open a file, and it sits out there, and whoever wants to attach to it saying that you owe them, that your loved one owes them money, they can sit out there and wait for it. And it's like, this is just insane to me. And I know my mom for sure was like, well, when I'm dead, it's not going to be a thing. It's like, yeah, it's not going to be a thing for you, but it can be a thing for your children. So, yeah, I don't get it. And if you're smart, if you have one child and you have all your life insurance, everything going to that one child, that is great. But if it's beyond life insurance, if it's like, you know, a bunch of checking accounts or a bunch of this and that, and your child isn't the beneficiary of those accounts, get ready. So I can't stress that enough. That's super important. And like I said, I get why people don't listen to this, and I get why people don't read the newsletter. You know, it's in the top 20 and 30% of opens, and that's good. But I don't have a ton of people signing up every day to read it because it's not what people want to read about. Now, if I made it about the Kardashians or if I made it about, I don't know, credit repair and put this much detail in it, I'm sure it would be, thousands upon thousands of subscribers. Everybody be buying the books. But I mean, I'm not saying feel sorry for me. I'm saying I don't get it. And I've had a very, I guess you could even say traumatizing. I was traumatized because I didn't realize how much work it was going to be physically to take care of my mom. I didn't understand, you know, uh, I would have to take over her finances. I would have to start taking her to the doctor. You assume a whole nother person's life on top of yours and whoever else you're responsible for. So, when I was talking to the bank manager that I met a couple weeks ago, and I could just see it in his face. And it's like, I feel so sorry for you because I'm out of that, but I know exactly how you feel, and it hasn't even been a year. This time last year, I was starting the real intensive caregiving because it was just me and my mom, and I didn't have anybody coming in. It was just me and her for 24 hours a day, and it was rough. But I did it. I didn't know that was going to be her last 90 days. I thought it was just, 90 days until I got my caregiver back. But, she was set to come back, and I was like, she's not going to be here. She's not going to make it. So It's just rough, and I guess we live in a society that's completely in denial about death and dying. Ooh, that reminds me, I had to take a death and dying class. Wonder when I took that. I wonder if that was high school or college. Huh. Anyway, that creatine got all kinds of memories flooding back. I think it really does work. I put it in my water. I drink about 3 or 4 giant containers of water a day, but I put creatine in every one. So I don't, once I started to read about how good it was for your brain, I was like, well, let me get on that because I will not be here with Alzheimer's. I've seen that movie a couple of times and it's awful and I don't want to be in it. And I don't have kids. Who's going to take care of me? So I started taking creatine. It not only is it helping me get muscles back, muscles. That's exciting at my age, but it's also like really helping my memory. I remembered something from 15 years ago that was so random the other day. I was like, look at this. And I already have a good memory. People get mad at how good my memory is because I'll have a story for everything. But yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. But I think I'm going to finish the year with the newsletter, but I think I'm probably going to stop doing it and just leave it out there for people. Um, because I mean, I can see that people are reading it, but it takes up a lot of time. I'm determined to keep it for free. Um, but it's starting to cut into the time that I need to do things that I get paid to do, you know. And so it was very cathartic for me and I enjoyed doing it, but we're at 32. I think I might stop at 50 and it'll have everything you need and people who find it and you can always buy the book. I'll probably do an additional financial piece for the book, but you know none of it took off like I thought it would, but I'm too early. People are still in denial and I get that. And when you start talking to people, and everybody I've signed up personally, they're like, oh, it's so good. If you really read it, it is good, but it's a topic that people don't want to talk about. So it's hard to grow it. And I'm not saying anybody should feel sorry for me. I really thought it would be more popular. But because I know how valuable it is. But that's just me being early in the space. And I'm not saying that I'm not going to continue to work with the Refuel brand. I can't continue to devote this much time to the newsletter that isn't really growing and people aren't raving about. Yeah, but the people who read it, they do. I get great feedback on it. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying it takes up a lot of time. And, you know, I lived through all of that and it's been very cathartic for me, but I'm not sure, um, you know, that I want to keep staying deeply immersed in that space, especially if if it's not growing, doesn't make sense. And it's free, so it's not like I'm getting paid to pour my heart and soul into this thing like I am. So we'll see. We'll see. I thought at some point I would do it for a year, like to March to March, because I think I started it in March this year, and it was really cathartic for me. And I don't think everybody understood how detailed and how much I was going through. So people who didn't really know, they were reading and they're like, "Whoa, okay." But, for the most part, I get the feeling that a lot of people who I think should be reading the newsletter, should be waiting for it to arrive every week, aren't, and people aren't signing up like I thought they would. Um, so yeah, it just is what it is. And maybe I'll change my mind if I decide to get a huge marketing budget and just really make sure. But see, it's like making people take their medicine. You got the kind of people who will always want to take their medicine, and then you got people who are like, I don't want this. This is nasty. I ain't taking this. So it just is what it is. I think it's valuable information. I'm proud of it. I poured everything I have into it every week, but I just don't see me continuing to do that um, when it's a topic that people just aren't in love with, which is so weird because it's so valuable and necessary. But that's the world we live in. Everybody's in denial about something, I guess. Um, I will say I enjoyed that football game last night. I fell asleep on it, but I watched the highlights. The old man bowl, that was pretty good. What is wrong with Cleveland? Now they gave away Joe Flacco in the division, and this dude was lighting it up last night and beat the Steelers, who I don't think the Steelers are very good. I think they do what they always do. They win games, and then when it comes down to the stretch, they struggle, and they either they usually make the playoffs and get done in the first week of the playoffs. The first round, they just aren't very good. They haven't been able to build an offense since Ben Roethlisberger, and they just seem to struggle to have offense. And then they've got Aaron Rodgers there. He's old. He's not going to be the future. I thought, I don't know, I thought Russell Wilson did a fair enough job for them. When George Pickens got hurt, they don't have enough receivers. So Pickens gets hurt. Russell starts looking worse because, he's not the greatest. He's not the Russell from 2013, but he was getting the ball. He was great. He beat a lot of teams. They were winning. But then the receiver core just got depleted, and then they were like, "Yep, we hate Russell. Arthur Smith. Why do they like him? The offensive coordinator. He's not very good. I'm sorry, he's the one that hated Russell. And it's like, well, we hate you. What is this play calling you have? Uh, Their offense is anemic, and so I love the Steelers. I've been a Steeler fan since the '70s, but man, they break your heart. I like Mike Tomlin. I love Mike Tomlin. I think he's so cool looking. But I think it might be time for him to move on. They need offense. And this Arthur Smith dude ain't it. He was a terrible head coach. I think he got fired from, was it Tennessee or Atlanta? He got fired from somewhere. His offenses are not inspired. Horrible play calling to me. And so if you're just gonna, the defense isn't the defense right now isn't going to win a lot of 10-6 games. You know what I'm saying? They allow a lot of points. So last night I think it was 33-30, something like that. You know, what are we looking at? And what's wrong with you, Cleveland? You trade this guy in the division and he is going to whoop your ass. Like he's out here kicking ass. Why would you do that? From a strategic standpoint, that doesn't make any sense. Obviously, you weren't assessing his talent, and he did look bad, but it was Cleveland. As soon as everybody leaves Cleveland, they look great. Baker Mayfield, pick up the white phone. Joe Flacco, he looked like Kurt Warner out there last night. Every time you thought, okay, well they're gonna lose, or there's no, he would complete some crazy pass to somebody. Jamar Chase had set a record for for catching passes. I want to say 17 or 18. He caught a team record. I mean, seriously, Cleveland is just dysfunctional, and Flacco looked bad. It's obvious to me they want to start Shedeur Sanders, but Kevin Stefanski does not agree, and I'm telling you why. It has nothing to do with Shedeur's talent. They don't like his uh, unwillingness to just do or say anything because he grew up rich. He is a rich kid. And he plays football because he loves football, not because he has to play football. There is a difference. A lot of these people love football and they have to play because there's no other financial way for them to get wealthy in their minds. Okay, well, that's not the case for the Sanders boys and their sisters. They grew up wealthy. They're wealthy now with the NIL money, you know. So you can't control people who aren't poor. That's why they love you getting up every day and going to work. That's why they love that you too scared to quit your job and start your own business. They love that because they can control you because you're afraid. I don't want to lose my benefits. Guess what? The benefits aren't that great. The way the insurance companies have set things up, if you were to inquire, you might find out it's cheaper when you pay for it out of pocket. In fact, most of the times it's going to be cheaper. I mean, I'm just saying, you can't control someone that's not afraid of you. And they have been trying to control Shedeur, and he's uncontrollable. That doesn't mean he's uncoachable. It just means if you tell him he's terrible and he's trash and he's a piece of shit, he don't believe you. So you find it hard to coach him. I wish they would have traded him to. I wish they had traded him to the Steelers. You know, I hope he gets a shot to really be the feature quarterback for a year somewhere, so we can see if he really is good or not. He was really fun to watch in Colorado, and so I just don't understand what's going on. They're mad at him because he believes in himself, and you cannot control him because he's not poor. Uh-oh. Hit the phone, sorry. But you know what I mean? That's really what that is. I hope he gets a shot. I really do. And Cleveland, you all are terrible. I was sad when they took your organization away from you, but they need to take it away again. You all are just a poorly run, poorly managed organization. And I always low key root for Cleveland because, the mistake by the lake and all that. But they ruin everything. Everything they touch turns to poop. Joe Flacco out here looking like Brett Favre, fucking Kurt Warner. He was just throwing it down the field. He was connecting, short throws, bombs. And he just threw it wherever he threw it. Somebody was catching it. You know, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. They had great nights. Noah Fant. And it's like now all of a sudden Pittsburgh. I just don't understand Pittsburgh. Horrible. Fucking hire somebody to give you a real offense. And is Mike Tomlin incapable of being the head coach to a great offensive mind? Because I haven't seen it. I just have not seen great offense from them in years. And now their defense is leaky. So, I don't know. I don't know. It might be time for a rehaul because they win enough games to get you excited every year. Like, oh, the Steelers gonna repeat again. They about to be champion. And then it's like, here comes Josh Allen. Here comes you know, who is it this year? Well, usually it's Josh Allen. Here comes Kansas City. Um, and they just when those teams are hitting on all cylinders, they look so much better than the Steelers. The Steelers' offenses for the past probably 15 years have been anemic. And the Big Ben's career was bad. He stayed so long, and I was like, man, this is rough to watch. And they have a formula, and it's just time to get a new formula. If you think about it, you got 32 NFL teams. How many of those are really trying to win? Maybe four. I don't understand what's going on with Lamar Jackson. He obviously he needs to see a mental coach for sports. Somebody help him be a champion. He doesn't know how to be a champion, and he's so emotional. And I've seen this. I believe he grew up single parent home. I used to worry about this with my nephew. I'm like, you can just see kids who had dads and kids who didn't. Kids without dads are very emotional, some of them. And, you know, in my experience, the dad always comes in and is like, why are you crying like that? And then you calm down. And that was what my dad was for me. So I can't imagine what it would be like for a little boy. And it's not a bad thing. A lot of people's parents didn't get married. And a lot of people's dads, I just saw some somebody with a tattoo that said, "This is all the stuff my dad did for me," and it was like a bare arm. I mean, I'm sorry that that was their experience. I had a great dad, but there are a lot of people who didn't, even when their parents were married. But I do notice that sometimes people who are really, really close to their mom, boys, they can be overly emotional. And it's not a slight to anybody. You just got to get it under control. You just got to get it under control. And I think Lamar, I mean, his mom is like his agent. And I just think he struggles with his emotions. Every time he's mad, you can see it all across his face. Like he can't control his emotions. And um, I'm not sure John Harbaugh should stay the coach there. I mean, there are younger people who might need a shot now. That's all I'm saying. There's only 32 of these jobs, and eventually people, need to get replaced. I mean, they move regular folks in and out of their jobs all the time. This is high stakes stuff here. Not to be mean, but if I was the owner of the team, I'd be like, you look, we've had a lot of good sack lunches in here. You're a good employee, but we need a culture change, and it starts with you. So next week you be taking your lunches at home. If I ever have to fire somebody, I'm gonna say it just like that. Next week, your lunches will be at your house. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Bye.